Hello, my friends. Remember back in the day when we were terrified that AI was going to take our jobs and that nobody knew what was going to happen and maybe it would kill us all or whatever? Nobody really knows how it works. Those were the good old days. I have been so overwhelmed by world affairs. For the last couple of days, I haven't been able to turn on the camera and focus. But today's better because the price of gas went down by $2. Did you know that? I am just kidding, and it's the 15th of April, so those of you who have taxes that are due, send those babies in because I know you've got the extra money. Well, you'll recall that a while back, I was talking about how AI is becoming lazy and just telling us whatever it feels like is going to sound really good to us. This is still true. It hasn't changed. In fact, it's probably gotten worse. First of all, I'd like to say that when I say AI, I mean the tools that we use that are chatbots or chat boxes, I think we call them now. The typical ones are Claude and OpenAI, GTP, and I hope I'm still there, Grok, and the other ones that I can't remember. Gemini. And speaking of Gemini, I asked Gemini to give me the headlines about what the news was about AI today because I have really been compromised in terms of my ability to do anything other than try and hide my head under a pillow. So I asked Gemini about the latest AI news, the up-to-the-minute news. And then Gemini, because apparently it didn't want to tell me, it just gave me a bunch of articles. And I said, no, I don't want to read the AI news. I would like to hear it from you. What is going on? And so then it responded, but it's just cut those corners, baby. So Maine has blocked AI data centers, and that's because of the growing backlash. And I want to say that a while back, I'm going to say in November, it wasn't even that long ago, I was kind of really worried that I was not moving fast enough to stay on top of the AI trends and that I would be moving too slow to make any difference or to be a voice that people wanted to listen to or hear. And AI was saying, you don't understand, you're ahead of the curve. And I think I might have been because now every day there's lots of stuff about the dangers of AI. And I'm going to pause here and say, can you imagine being Iranian and having some guy who is arguably the most powerful individual on earth say that he's going to annihilate your population? Can you imagine living under that kind of stress and strain? I can't. And thankfully I don't have to. It's just coming here by way of all of the other things that might ensue. I just want to point that out. I don't know where you're listening to me from or watching me from, but we're very fortunate to even exist in the troubled times that we live in right now. So what's the news? Maine has blocked AI data centers until further notice. I don't know if you heard about Mythos. It's the new Claude release, and it has Dario Moody has put the brakes on it because apparently it's so powerful it can detect shortcomings and vulnerabilities in pretty much anything that it's put up against. And so all of our systems are at risk because of this. And going back to what AI told me a long time ago, it's not really, we don't need to actually worry about the tool. We need to worry about the people who have access to the tool, and that's the worry right now. And so until further notice, Anthropic is limiting use of Mythos because it presents a huge concern if it falls into the wrong hands, which it will. I'm sorry. It's just the truth I say. So let's see. Wow. There's a generative Van Kilmer that is being released in a film, apparently. And I think that the new news about what we're all talking about right now is Agentic AI, and the fact that people are catching on to how we can use AI as not just a tool, but as a whole system to make our lives and our jobs easier. And if I had a minute, I got all kinds of things that I want to put co-work to the task of and say, please handle this stuff for me. But unfortunately, it takes a little bit of planning on my part, and I haven't had the structured time. Some of you may have wondered what this channel is all about. What am I talking about? Where am I going? Why am I looking at a rocket launch one day and talking about the odds of who's going to win the NCAA the next? And I think the thing that ties everything together is ADHD. I'm pretty sure that more than 2 or 3 of you can relate to that. And I would love for you to chime in and tell me about your experience with ADHD and how it's going. Because I know that I'm 71 years old and I have done quite a lot in my life. In fact, as frenetic as it is or has been, I feel like I've accomplished a great deal. And for what that's worth. And then sometimes you have to go back to, right, and why are we doing this? Is it just to distract ourselves from what we're really supposed to be working on, which is a deep understanding of self? I haven't gotten there yet, but Socrates said, the unexamined life is a life not worth living. To that effect, that's not verbatim. And I have done some examination recently of my life and what I think I'm doing, but I want to go back to the ADHD piece and say, I think my urgency in doing this right here, doing this, making this channel and talking to you is because I've been told by quite a few people, actually, that I have a lot of stories, and I have a lot of stories. And some of them are interesting, and some of them are funny, and some of them are really horrific and sad. And many of them, I think, could be useful in imparting wisdom or at least some gleam of like, oh, so that's the way it is, or I could do that. So I've heard that a lot. I've heard it for years. And I am doing something about it right now. And I also really want to urge all of you that if this resonates with you, please drop a comment in the comments, because the weirder it gets and the more desperate everything seems, and I'm not the only one who thinks this, I know that. Didn't really want to tread too much into that territory of like, it's out of control, we're all gonna, it's horrible. I just want to say, not all of you might feel that. Not all of you listen to the news maybe as much as I do, to my detriment, I might add. But I think that everybody now knows that it's bad. It's really, really bad. And it's not likely to get better anytime soon. That is to say, we now have a global economic crisis, and those things don't go away that quickly. Even in 2008, I remember that people were saying, oh my God, our children will never have the standards that we had. They'll never have the quality of life that we have enjoyed because of the horrific crash of the economy and the too big to fail people and the guys who flew their jets into meetings because the car companies couldn't possibly be left without being bailed out. And so all of that happened, and that was all the taxpayers' money, as is every cent that goes to the war effort. $1 billion a day, if you're not keeping track, more, probably more. The point is, I was really struck by those words in 2008 and 2009. And the fact is, it didn't turn out to be as ugly as was predicted. And I'm not sure why that's true, because it was definitely a rarity. There hadn't been very much else to compare it to. And so having said that, there's always hope. And I want to say that in terms of hope, I think that the best thing that we can do right now, certainly go out and rally or go right to do everything you are capable of doing. And if you're not capable of doing very much or anything, don't worry. the weight of the world is not on your shoulders alone. It takes us all to do that. And on that note, I'd like to say that the most important thing I think right now for us is to build community and know that we are not, living through this alone. Living through anything alone. Living through the rainbow that was outside yesterday alone. Share that with people. It's beautiful. And I think we've really, especially since COVID maybe, but certainly even before that, we've all fallen out of touch with one another. And I think that we're just hungry and yearning for connection with people. And so I've gone over this. And so there's the ADHD, right? And then there's the COVID did not really trouble me that much at all. Have to stay inside for 2 years? No worries. That sounds great to me. I had pneumonia 4 times, and I'm a realtor, and I wasn't really willing to die because of COVID. And so I really, really isolated myself, and I was very careful. That didn't really drive me crazy. It didn't. It was fine. So I think I can be really engaging and I can be really chatty, but the fact is it's hard sometimes to get in front of people. It takes some effort. Odd as it seems, and I've gone over this, I'm really an introvert and an extrovert. I don't do anything by the book, so it shouldn't surprise me. But I've looked into doing community. I have thought for years that I wanted to do a salon where people would all come on Wednesday night and we'd drink wine or have tea or whatever. Just talk about subjects that weren't inflammatory or the kids or the pets or something like that, but just really talk about something that we could all engage in that would bring us a sense of community and bring us up a notch in terms of our understanding of one another and maybe of our understanding of stuff that we really hadn't thought of before. That's a great idea. I love that idea. And every time I'd sort of get close to it, I was like, I've got a space. We'll do this. Or during COVID, I was like, we could do this online. But the fact is, that's not me. I'm not that person. I want to be that person. I really do. I looked at something recently and it said, just get some chairs and put them out in front of your house and then hang out there. And when people walk by, ask them to sit down and just chat it up with them. And I thought, that's a great idea. And I could probably actually do that. That's a great idea. But I haven't done it. Although I do talk to the neighbors when I see them outside. Having kids is a great thing to meet the neighbors because the kids are more visible than I am. I'm going to leave you there because I have more to say, but I don't want to ramble on and on and on. But I do want to tell you that if you've been wondering what in the world is going on here and what this is all about, I guess I feel like now that I've tried to figure it out for months, that the underlying or overriding topic is that I struggle a lot with my peculiarities, and I have all my life. And my son had to take tests when he was in school. He did it in 2nd grade, and then he did it again in 5th grade. And I was one of those parents who did not want to have him pigeonholed into some kind of like, oh, he could be disruptive, and so we're going to give him drugs. But when he was in 5th grade, he still wasn't disruptive. He never did crazy stuff like they say boys who have ADHD. He just couldn't focus. It would take him hours to do his homework. And I'd plead with him and say, honey, if you would just get this done, we could go to the park. We could do something cool. You could hang out with your friends. None of it helped. I tried the stick and I tried the carrot, and he just didn't care. But at that point, when he was in 5th grade, I was like, hey, wait a minute. And it took me that long to actually say to myself, and go to a psychiatrist and get a diagnosis and say, oh, maybe I should have thought of this before I decided to have children. He's wonderful, and he deals with it, and I'm sure that I passed it on. It's an enormous struggle, and there are ways around it. I'm just here to say. I can't necessarily explain how that works, but I know that it works. And I want to talk more about it. And I want to talk about my demises and my wins and my wonderful things that I've done. And I want to encourage you all that if you've got a mind that doesn't work like they say most of the populations minds work. Don't worry about it. It's fun. We're here, and we do a lot of magical shit. I love you. Bye.